Welcome everyone to the Watchlist, your virtual weekly TV guide right here on the Latiners Network, ready to go over all the shows, documentaries, films released on streaming over the past week. Give you our best recommendations and non-recommendations, of course. And at the end of the show, letting you know what's coming out so you too can create your very own watch list. Joining us as always, co-host Senor Jaime, aka Chewy. What it is, what it was, what it shall be.
Good morning, brother. What's going on?
Not much. So you're enjoying your new little pet in the house, your new dog.
All right, dude. You want to say hi? Come say hi to say hi to Gizmo. Say hi to Gizmo. Hi.
Yeah. We are not putting Gizmo on the watch list this week, so no.
He's always on the watch list. Stop hating.
Fair enough. Actually, there's a few things that are going to be on a watch list next coming years. The three renewals of Shogun, surprisingly. Well, I guess not surprisingly, but it's surprising. It's only one book, right? Am I wrong in that? Or
Well, there's an anthology of books
okay,
that he wrote.
okay,
Not there is no sequel to Shogun,
gotcha.
the first book, but there's other books that take place at different time periods within Japan, kind of mirroring the first books or different eras of things. So but I don't know what direction it's going to take, but I'm very glad that Shogun, I'm sorry, FX changed their mind. And I knew they, I mean, obviously it was so successful, they had to. This could not be a one and done
Well, they're bringing back some of the same
series.
people, so I assume they're going to go off script in terms of a story. I don't know. We'll see, but that's good.
Well,
That's good
I
news.
mean, obviously, there's a lot of history. It's based on it is based on
Well,
historical
of
figures, so
course.
it's not. It wasn't something that
Mhm.
the guy, the author James Cameron's last name, made up. So if they take his approach as far as adapting his other books, or if they take approach as far as expanding this particular era, either way, they spent so much. They dropped some serious cheddar on this show, and obviously they had a big thing, FX last year at Comic Con with the Shogun Experience, which was very, very, very well done.
No, yeah. So this
Um,
it's great news, right? So I'm
yeah,
happy about that. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, whatever, season two. Well, I'll take a leave of that show, but
but
that's coming back.
no, Maya Erickson or
Right, new
what's the
characters.
name? I
Donald
mean, so
Glover, yeah.
I think, yeah, thank you, Donica. I think that confirms, yeah, they both died that night.
Right, or
I
maybe
think that's the.
that's the gist of it.
Well, maybe I'm wrong.
Who
Or
knows?
maybe
But yeah,
maybe they're pulling the rug over our eyes. So I don't
it's
know.
possible they're gonna.
I'm
Yeah,
assuming
they'll
too
circle
much.
back. Or who knows? But that get renewed for whatever that's worth. And Three Body Problem was the other one
Mhm.
I thought I was more excited about. That
Well,
officially
yeah,
getting renewed.
that's good to hear.
Yeah, that season. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so a little unclear
hmm
if season two will be.
the last one.
Uh, yeah, it was kind of cryptic where they say we've been guaranteed to finish, but does that mean okay they get a season two? Because Netflix can do whatever they want.
Sure,
So
of
is there
course.
really a guarantee?
Well,
Um,
you're right. There's no guarantee. Beginning of season two, we know that much. If it's going to be the
even
last,
even even getting
you know.
even getting renewed doesn't mean it's going to get assisted. Because see many a time where they canceled for whatever reason. So,
Well, I mean,
you
but
know,
they're going to do a season
force
two. I mean, yeah.
force
I
majeure,
mean, things
force
could happen, but
majeure.
I doubt. I mean, once they greenlit it, they'll make at least one more season. Whether it goes beyond that, that's a
Well,
different story,
yeah,
right? That's a different
yeah.
story. But those three got renewed, so that's good
But I, but
news.
I, but I'm very glad because I actually finished watching the Chinese version,
hmm
and oh my God, that was painful.
I hear it's not
It
good. Yeah,
was it
that's
was
why I
like
didn't
30
watch it.
episodes.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you didn't. I suffered through it because I just wanted to see.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was like 30 some odd episodes.
Oof.
Only took us to the boat scene essentially.
Oh wow.
So you can see, yeah,
Oh my
so you
God.
can see and they literally went like page by page from the book.
Oh
I'm
no.
like, oh, how not to make a show.
Yeah, no.
God,
Okay,
ugh,
that's why I didn't. I heard it was like
it
it was really
hurts.
painful. So whatever. But
It hurts.
I'm looking forward to it. It was a popular show apparently. So good. Happy to
Yeah.
hear that. But let's get on to the stuff this week. And actually, there's one I want to circle back. One show that ended. A couple of shows ended its run, but one in particular,
Mhm.
which we kind of alluded to last week, and that's Sugar. Ending its 8 episode run. Colin Farrell
I'm
starring as this detective.
gonna have a cup of sugar,
Yeah,
please.
very noir feel to it. It was modern times of looking for a missing person and et cetera, et cetera. Missing granddaughter of this famous producer or whatever, Hollywood producer or whatever. Um, we thought the show was okay when it first came out. I think we reviewed the first 2 or 3 episodes. I forget how many were released.
Yeah, like I said, a
It was solid, right?
very,
Solid. Yeah.
a period, not really a period piece, but I had a period feel as far as typical crime investigative,
Right.
a la, probably maybe a better version of Perry Mason, or at least the HBO version of
Sure,
Perry Mason.
agree.
But wow, what a
Yeah,
change!
I told you there was I heard this big twist, genre bending twist. I don't want to spoil it. And I kind of gave my thoughts on what it could be, and I was around the vicinity of what it was to some degree. Ridiculous. This is a love or hate kind of thing. I don't want to spoil it for those who still want to watch Sugar. And I'm on the fence whether I'm actually recommending or not. But for me, it was terrible. I mean, if because the big reveal, big twist happens episode 7, right? I think it was, or 6 out of 8 episodes.
Yeah,
If that would have been revealed at the beginning, the ending of the first, ending of the second, I would have been okay with it. I would have been, okay, oh cool, something different, unique, and then explore that along with the mystery. But they waited to the very, almost the very end, and it was totally necessary. The show would have been the same whether that twist would have been there or not for the most part. Just without the ridiculousness I thought of it. I don't know what to think. Chew your thoughts. I mean, it was weird. I don't know.
I don't know. Oh boy,
Yeah,
I don't know, dude. It was just a weird, very weird,
it was so
very out there
unnecessary. They didn't need
conclusion.
that. You know,
They didn't have time to
that's
explain
what I'm saying.
the nuance of okay, now you have this twist, and you had one of the questions: who's behind the scenes? What's going on? Who's in charge?
Right.
Right? Why they have to make the decision that they make? Trying to dance around, trying to give
Yeah,
away
of
too many
course, of course.
details. Um, you know, why? It's just
It was
yeah.
awkward. If it told us at the beginning of the first episode, we see that same reveal. Oh, cool. So okay, different, right? You have 7
Yeah.
episodes to explore and unpack all that stuff along
Mm,
with it. You trying to unpack that and the mystery solve. It was too much. It was too much. It didn't
yeah.
make any sense. It didn't have the effect. I think they were trying to really like outsmart themselves in the audience, and it just did not work.
They
Um,
had smarter themselves. All
for
right.
me anyway.
Good lord.
So it's an interesting discussion. If you guys to watch the show, if you're interested in watching it, it's not a terrible show. Just a I don't know. It's just it's an odd choice, and I really wish I could spoil it, but I really don't want to for those maybe watching. But yeah, that's an interesting show anyway. But let's get on to this week. Actually, no, this I know you wanted to talk about real quick on Doctor Who. It's something I don't
Yeah.
watch. I haven't watched since I was like wee lad. Um,
We lad, we five.
but
What are you? Grew up in London or something? We
I'm just
lad.
saying that it was in my flat watching it. But I know it's been like 1,000 iterations, like a James Bond ish. You know, just change characters. Benedict Cumberbatch is one of the probably more
About
famous name behind
40,
it.
50, 60 years, I think, I believe.
Well, no, they changed like the actor, not the character. Yeah.
No, no, no. But as far as how
Oh,
long it's been around,
sure. Yeah, it's been
I
around for
mean,
ages. I'm
yeah,
saying it's like James
yeah.
Bond ish or Batman. You can just
Mm.
insert plug in, right? So yeah, I mean, I assume you're liking it because you're watching it. I guess.
I'm like you. I was probably a little bit bigger than a wee lad when we first. I think for our A season, I'm not sure which season we saw. Very hokey. Obviously, it was a product of its time because not a lot of CGI or graphics and stuff,
Sure.
right? So it's a lot of physical
Practical
effects and
effects and
stuff.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, practical effects. So, but for some reason, I mean, honestly, it's been popular for a number of years. Even though they've changed characters, we've had David Tennant do it right at Doctor Who. We had, I think, Michael Smith, who's now currently is it Aemon Targaryen? One of the
But
Targaryens, right, on Game of
yeah,
Thrones.
Benedict
Um,
Cumberbatch.
Benedict
Yeah.
Cumberbatch, right, obviously. So a lot. So now they have the guy from Sex Education, Nguti, okay, I can't, I'm gonna butcher his last name. So whatever. But you see him for a second, he was the best friend, right? The gay best friend from Sex Education. Very funny character, very good actor. And so I was like, okay, let me jump in. Let me jump in the fray. It's on Disney Plus now. Let me jump in. And you know what? I've enjoyed it, man.
Okay.
I caught the Christmas special, and I thought it was very fun. It kind of it builds on the legacy. I remember when we first saw it, I mean, we liked it. It was
I
sci-fi
mean,
back in the late in the '70s, early
when you're a
'80s.
wee lad, you like a lot of things that may or
Yeah,
may not be good today, right?
yeah.
To be
But
fair,
but it involves a time machine, that
sure.
port or whatever.
It was cool. Yeah, the idea
Uh,
was cool. Yeah,
yeah.
no doubt.
So this iteration, you don't have to go back to the history. You can. This is a good. You can kind of jump in. They explain enough for you to get the gist of it. I know the gist of it, right? Just from
Hmm.
listening from the sidelines. But even if you're not a fan, I think this is a good version, a good way to jump in and become a fan if you wish, right? Obviously, there's various jumping points, jump off points
Mhm.
with characters and storylines, and there's some interconnectivity because it is one big universe. But I think this is designed so you can kind of jump in and become a fan, and I've really enjoyed it.
Okay, fair enough. I forgot it was on Disney. I forgot
Mhm.
that they own that
Well,
one.
BBC, but yeah,
Well,
I
right,
think on
but it's
Disney
been
Plus.
shown on whatever Hulu, Disney,
Yes,
whatever. It's
mhm,
all the same thing down these days. Um,
correct.
and all these bundles all kind of be the same. I know Comcast is on a bunch of
Oh God,
bundles with Apple and
we
Netflix.
want
Yeah.
you want to talk about that now? I'm like,
No,
oh,
no, no, no.
jeez,
We're
man.
not gonna get into all that nonsense. That's too much. That's too much. Let's focus. Let's bring it all back here to the current situation, the current week. We'll start. We'll do a quick takes. This is the first next two parts here. Quick takes, very quick takes on some of these shows that got released, and we'll focus on one or two shows at the end of
Mhm,
feature section. The first one, Interview the Vampire, just got released about a week ago. Actually, season two, coming off
mhm,
a surprising season one, I thought on AMC Plus. Very good show. I really liked it a lot. More graphic that was gonna be. So it's been one episode. I'll watch the second one a little later on today. Picking up where it left off. Very good. I actually have this,
mhm.
you guys. Definitely, it's a definite watch on the watch list for me. So, Chewy.
Absolutely cannot disagree with you at all on that point.
Next one, Outer Range, season two. This was Josh Brolin starring in this one. It's kind of a sci-fi western-ish kind of show. Season one came
Yeah.
out last year, which I thought it was okay. Pretty much, this is Brolin owns this range or whatever farm, whatever we gonna call it.
Ranch.
A
Yeah.
ranch. There you go. That's the right word. I'm sorry. A ranch, and this far off from the ranch is this void, mysterious void, black hole, whatever the case is, of which he himself came through, has been in, and has got some time travel elements to the void, and then there's side stories with the family and their rival with someone else who's trying to buy the ranch, etc., etc. The son who killed one of the people from the rival, son of the rival, the rivals of the people. Either way, a lot of stuff going on. Season two, I thought it's been better than season one so far
Mhm.
because I've actually explored what the void is, and that was my biggest gripe. Season one, you put it out there, at least give us something more. It's just a black hole with some potential time stuff. They've actually dove right into that more.
I mean, it took a long time to get to that point, right?
It
There's a
took
lot
too
of
long. It
development,
took too
there's
long.
slow burn,
Yeah.
and we didn't get anything until like last couple episodes as far as what the hell this void
Right.
hole in the ground is, right? From various characters. Yeah, this one to get right into it, and they were really exploring those journeys of particular characters that are coming in and out of the void,
Yeah.
right? And it's definitely making a lot better show to watch.
Agreed.
And because now you've seen the characters without spoiling it, but interact with different timelines of the same area, the same region, right?
Yeah.
And actually, there's no controlling where you end up, and so, but there is definitely there's a connectivity between the various characters and what's going on.
Yeah. So I know I have one quick gripe, just real quick if we move on, but it's definitely on the watch list if you're into that stuff. But
Mhm.
um, with one of the sons going back, that it's bugging me because this seems to have no effect in the future, and I hate that. Right? We've seen other shows explore that much better. Dark, for example, did that. Right? Um,
Well, have you finished it? Because I was not sure what
I
the impact. Yeah, so it's a little. I think
I think
yeah,
it
it's the
should
whole
me
thing. I
it
think
should always be
I
it
think
should
you're
always be
assuming.
instantaneously because it's already happened 80 years in the past. Why doesn't the current
Well,
version
I
know
mean,
of that? Right? It's a small thing, but it does bug me because I'm time travel very particular. That's just me. Then most people probably won't care, to be honest with you.
I don't know what he's done or hasn't done. So I don't know that we can
It
say
could be corrected.
there is no
Yeah,
no 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 impact on what or that he did not directly influence the events
it
of the
could be
current.
corrected
So
potentially, but again, that's a small. I mean, it's something for me. That's not I think a common thing. To be honest with you. But yeah, I'm gonna watch this. It's a good show.
well, I
It's
mean,
gotten better.
I'll bring on one point because there's one scene where there's a picture of one of the characters.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
saying.
so so
The
that's
consistency is not
that
there yet.
so I mean so there is stuff because there's stuff that's going
Correct.
on that is not you see it now. I'm not sure if you say you can happen in real time, but it's there, it's recorded.
But
So
you see him say it happened in real time. Then how come it hasn't? That's what I'm saying. That's where I get kind
well,
of like
I don't know. See, I don't know what Sun has done, so it's unsure. I'm a reserve judgment until I see the
sure,
whole
but the
thing.
father should have knowledge of that already. So and there's no indication that he has it that he's already met him. For example, you met your son back in the day. You're aware who he is. You're aware he's the son. You're aware he time traveled. So all your whole life you have that knowledge. Why is that knowledge present now? That's what I'm saying, right?
Okay,
Like the picture
okay.
is there immediately. So that's what I'm saying, right? So it's inconsistent. I know we're kind of getting too spoily, but either way, good show. I'm enjoying it. This season's better than last season, so definitely watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, Apple Plus, The Big Cigar. This one here is actually
Mm-hmm.
based on a true event, true story, right?
Yeah,
Involving
yeah.
a I forgot what's this guy's name.
Newton,
Huey P. Newton,
P.
right? One of the
Yeah, Huey
yeah,
P.
one of the co-founders
Founders of the Black
yeah,
Panthers.
Black
Yeah,
Panther, and he was being sought after by the FBI for murder, framed or not framed, we don't know yet. And he devised
right.
a scheme with a couple of excuse me American movie producers who, the guys of a movie they're making, quote the big cigar, they kind of help
Yeah.
escape to Cuba, so you can avoid the authorities, and that's what the story's about. I think one of the guys behind Winning Time is behind this, and it shows in terms of his style. But to me, it was kind of a detriment to the show. I thought this was being cooler, more like an Argo feel to it, which is kind of similar, taken a little more seriously, because this isn't as the tone is all over the place for me. As it tries to be kind of funny, but it's not really, and it's not as serious as considering the subject matter and the time. I'll continue watching it, but I'm not honestly gonna recommend it. Chewy,
I have a completely different
fair.
reaction to it. To be honest with you, I don't see the Winning Time feel, because the Winning Time it wasn't.
I mean, not as farcical as that. Not as
It was
farcical as that, but
that was very well. I mean, but it was very. I don't say made up, but it was a lot of the events that the show portrays, and the way it portrayed didn't really happen, and we know it because we were
oh,
part
of
of. We
course,
know the history
right,
of
right. I don't know
Blackfish.
history here, so that could. I mean, even the guy says, some of this is probably
And the
not
guy
true.
said,
Yeah,
yeah, the guy said it's mostly true, maybe
that's what I'm saying.
true.
It's very
Well,
kind of like tongue in cheek.
as
Yeah,
best as I remember.
right. So
But
yeah,
this big swath of events, I mean, I looked up and yes, they did happen. I said it's funny because we're going to talk about a show in a second where Newton comes up
hmm
with a little bit of interview, and so it kind of bridges together our show. But I think they're taking the right tone from his perspective on what he did, what events influenced him, and what he was trying to do from where he started to
sure.
what he wanted to do eventually, and but how government still perceived them as a threat,
Well, obviously, yeah,
regardless.
yeah.
You know, it was bullshit, but whatever.
No, yeah, like I said, check it out for yourselves. Obviously, Apple Plus. It's not a terrible show. It just didn't quite work for me, but I'm still gonna watch it because it's. I guess it's not a horrible show. It's not. Maybe it gets better. That's what I'm hoping for. Feature show. We got a couple of features. And one, you probably. I know you didn't see this one, Chewy, but I'm gonna bring it up because I was like, oh, what the hell? It's worthy of a small discussion for me. And that's the Eight Show. This is
So,
it's called the Eight Show, the number Eight Show. Just the Eight Show is what it's called.
okay.
It's a Korean show. It's on Netflix. Just dropped.
Oh, is this the reality contestant one, or
No, no,
something
not
else?
at all. That's more like a
Oh,
documentary in Hulu. But it's
oh, okay,
kind of like
okay.
there's some similarities, vaguely. Not well, not really. I take it back. Because and the Hulu one, the guy's unaware he's on TV, so that's a different story. Okay,
Okay,
so this
okay.
one here
The
this is
the
the
contestant.
contestant,
Sorry.
correct? This one here is fictional, obviously. This is obviously they're trying to recapture the Squid Game hype, right? Which is not going to happen with the show. The show is not Squid Game. I say that right now. Okay, but it's interesting. The basic premise: you have eight individuals all struggling in their own way in life, whatever, and they get invited to a show. I guess they're unaware what kind of show it is, but it is a show. And basically, they get put in this room, in this kind of warehouse thing, and they each have their own room, and they pick numbers between 1 and 8, a one representing a floor number where the floor is going to be at, right? The higher you are, the more they're not aware of it yet, the more advantages. I mean that the longer they stay in this game or whatever, they get money per minute. It would be 10,000 won at the beginning. If you're in the first floor, like 130,000 won if you're top floor every minute. So imagine how that accumulates into millions and potentially billions. The only rules, the certain rules they gotta follow. They can't take anything out of the room. They can call and buy stuff and take away from the money they've earned at a how much higher price. Or there's another way to call downstairs where it decreases the time that you guys are in the room. Initially, it's 24 hours, right? So the more stuff you buy, the less money you're gonna make. There are rules. No one can die. So if you let someone die, the game ends. So now it's in the best interest of the contestants to remain there as long as possible, and if discover ways of increasing the time that they're there, by doing various tasks, or simply put, by entertaining those who could be watching. So they're devising games and stuff they could do to gain attention, and they get rewarded by adding more time to it because the more time equals more moolah. So it's a very interesting concept. It starts out slow. I could see most of the show because my wife started watching. Of course, she's a binge whore, so it is what it is. So it's one of those first couple episodes are whimsical. It's a cool ideas. Like, okay, well, we're going with this. Nothing really major happens in terms of like Squid Games. You know, it's life and death from the get go, right? Um, but by the third, fourth episode, okay, now we're getting cooking. People start figuring out, oh, wait a minute, I'm on the top floor, right? And actually get the food first, so they can keep it up all they want, distribute it down, right? So there's going to be this power between the has, those are the tops, and those who don't have any power, the ones at the bottom, right? Controlling that aspect of the game, how much, time, things that they do, things to get messy. It explores human nature and what, people do for money, essentially, right? The grotesqueries of it all, because it does get difficult to watch. Some torturous stuff goes on and things like that. So it's very fascinating. It's a cool show, which is why I want to talk about it. You guys know it's a very interesting show. It's not as good as Squid Games, but it's interesting. It's cool. I like the idea, and once you get to the third, fourth episode, like, okay, things start cooking at that point. So it's a recommend. Not a great show, but a cool show to watch. And like, I like the concept behind it, the things they do, and how they find out what they need to do to gain time and things like that is fascinating. And what they do with it, and to those who do the best to remain in power. Of course, you expect everybody from those in the bottom. They have to figure out a good way of doing it. So it's fascinating. A lot of cool ideas expressed in the show. It's not put together the best, but it's definitely a good start. I definitely highly recommend for me. Last one, Chewy, is Power. This is the last feature for today. This was a docu film, about an hour and 20, not a minute 20, a short show. An hour and 20, of course, chronicling the police, right? As far as the necessity of why they arose, the structure behind, the militant structure it grew into kind of in a certain time period.
This is America, essentially.
Motivations behind it. Racial, of course, is always a big part of it. Let's not kid ourselves. So it kind of goes out talking to a lot of scholars, even some officers and other people journalists,
historians, scholars,
exactly.
real life people.
Yeah, and the impact on what happened with particularly with those of color and the police and how they treated. We've seen stuff like this 1,000 times. We have. Let's be honest. But this is cool because I think for the first 40 minutes, I was like, okay, it's standard. Okay, I get it. And some stuff I didn't know and whatever, like a lot of ties with the police and the origin of the word, and the police say whatever it's called in Poland, which is kind of militant.
Well, I mean,
things like that. Small things like that.
Perspective, accurate history of not just from one perspective, but obviously because they make the point that the rise of policing arose from various four main aspects, right? Counter-terroristic type. Obviously, there was, from the South, it was the slavery aspect, but it was also the rise of police in the Northeast and in the West, right, which is expansionary, and so dealing with natives and stuff and policing that.
There was a rise in crime, so to justify that. So, I mean, it's not. It's a little more one-sided. I would like this to be. For me, I'd like to be more down the middle when it comes to these documentaries, but I get it. But to be fair, it wasn't all just police suck. It was like, listen, there was aspects of why they were there for good reason.
Yeah.
Just the abuse or whatever, the power. But what I really found more for me interesting was the second half of this documentary, because then there's a couple good things that explore, right? Not as much as the police, but just the justice system, which is, I think, a bigger problem. And there was a conversation between an officer, a black officer, I forget what city he's from.
This is in northern Minneapolis.
Okay, and I guess
he's an investigator. He's there with a group of fellow officers at various ranks and positions, and they're trying to have I guess they get together weekly or however they get together, and to try to change the system from within.
Yeah, talking about as an example.
As black representatives.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so the issue was where they compared, where they assume. And we see it, and I've seen it. I've seen a couple other documentaries, one HBO, some other ones where this is as vivid as bright and day, as far as the discrepancy between looking at two equitable cases, and how the white defendants are treated versus the black defendants, where there is underlying assumption that one is worthy of rehabilitation and given an opportunity, or to try to get the root cause to help them, where the other one is assumed to be on the other end of the spectrum and it's not even worth their time. It's just
essentially they don't get the help.
It's easier. It's a bit more convenient just to throw them in jail and not give them the pretrial intervention, the other programs that design, or the disparity between between what one gets
Exactly.
versus the
Particularly
other
with the, I
is
think this
glaring.
guy was focusing on young kids who are committing crimes and
Hmm.
how on one side white kids get these rehab programs to help them through
Yeah.
overcome it, and black people don't. The question is not whether they should be arrested. We know they're committing crimes, and I think that's part of the focus. People get lost in. We're like, oh, they're arresting black kids. Well, they're committing crime, right? It is what it is. It's what you do after. That's more important. Right, and
Hmm.
that's something no one ever talks. We rarely see this kind of conversation. It's all about, well, why are they getting arrested and why are they getting shot? Well, crimes are being committed, fair enough. But what happens after the fact, how the rehabilitation of it, the opportunities afforded to these people is different, and that's what causes a lot of the disparity, right? And continual crime.
And I think they made a good point to bring up the commission that LBJ because
Mm-hmm.
obviously that because of the riots
Sure.
in the '60s, which are more, yes, there obviously is more social justice writing, but there was obviously there was underlying issue as far as why they continued.
Sure. Absolutely.
And the points they made, and I think it came out as a paperback, right? Released 68, 69, but with their findings, and it was interesting to see that of those findings, the only thing they were implemented were increased policing or more militarization of policing,
Right.
right? Versus what the other facts. I think the book made a good point of looking at both aspects and seeing what was going on, and obviously not they called it out, right, as far as the racism in the system, the lack of opportunity, right, the inequality of the opportunity. And not that everyone deserves to be treated. Everyone deserves to be treated equally, and everyone should have an equal chance to attain that opportunity, to gain, to improve themselves, and how that was lacking between the minority communities,
Right.
the poor communities, and everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And they made a point like, okay, but you sit in a room with 400 old white men. What do you think is going to happen,
Of
right?
course.
Because there is already a lack of representation. So what do you think is easier for them? Well, and
Yeah,
so that's what
and
they
I mean,
focus on.
that, to be fair, that was more so back in the day. Obviously, things have changed. Let's make it clear, right?
No.
There's
Well,
still issues,
they've
obviously,
changed,
but
but
yeah,
the underlying,
yeah,
but they have not addressed the underlying fact issues of why
yeah. I think for me,
why we
yeah,
continue to see those things. I would say
and I
because
think it comes down to economics. I wish they didn't explore this enough. That was my only gripe about the show, is economics being and not. Yes, there's may go hand in hand with the race as well, obviously, but economics is the biggest issue. And I always go back at our conversation. I always go back to O.J. Simpson, right?
yeah. Why you do? I mean, what's in that crime? Because you have you
You have
know, obviously
you have the resources
there's
to,
criminals at
yeah,
all levels.
yeah,
Let's be honest,
hmm,
because
of course, of course,
you can say that, there's more crime, and I hear all the time, oh, they're just criminals. No, because you know what? In white neighborhoods, there's as much crime, you just don't see it, right? It's not publicized because it's a mid class, it's upper level. But let's just put it
it's
this.
handled differently
In
by all parties. Yeah,
drug use in the '70s,
woof,
right?
everywhere, white people too.
Okay. Yeah. What was driving that growth?
Right.
White rich people.
Yeah, and
Sorry,
that's
let's be honest.
again,
But then when it came to the '80s, who was getting arrested? Well, let's just go to the poor minority black neighborhoods,
of course,
right?
yeah.
But who is using it? Just turn around.
Eh,
Just turn around,
Everybody was
right?
using it to drug. I mean, there is an argument that says don't use drugs, and that's fair. That's a fair
Yes.
argument. It's a fair argument. Now the punishment would be harsh. We saw in the '90s, right? They're
But
getting,
this whole law and order
oh no, right, but it's
the war
still
on drugs.
unbalanced. Yeah,
Where was that?
yeah.
Where was that war on drugs aimed at
Of
to try to fix
course,
the problem?
and that's always been an issue. Let's be honest, but yeah, but it goes on for me. It's always been like economics. Again, it goes to OJ. OJ got free. He's a black guy, killed a beautiful young woman and a white guy. If he was poor, he would have been in jail forever. It's his life, and everyone thought he was guilty. We all thought he was guilty. At least 90%.
No, I don't think there was any doubt about that.
Right.
Whether
However,
the
he got off.
or they looked for a reason.
Right, but he got off
But
but
because he had
he had
money,
money.
he had the
That's the point.
opportunity
Exactly.
to
Yeah. So it's not like a race thing.
I guess get away. Well, I mean, but it is.
And it isn't, but it's not just a race. Let me.
Because that's you can't. OJ is a very unique.
It is, but he
with.
had, but a lot of people black women get away with it. A lot of white people who are poor don't. A lot of poor people go to jail. A lot of rich white don't. The difference is it's the money.
It comes out to money.
It's the money. That's a big factor. It's not. I don't think the court system is fair in that sense. It affects those of minorities because we got less money per capita. That's just unless not everybody.
But it is
Asian Indians notwithstanding, the rest of us per capita very poor.
But they definitely make the point where because with policing, with other minorities living in some of the country where they haven't been treated, quote unquote white. But the big difference is a black person can never be viewed as white unless they're
Oh
really
no,
rich,
yes,
right?
correct, yeah, yeah.
And everyone else, every other group can because you can change
Or
your
Irish
name,
or
you can look at
Italian, not us.
or whatever.
We don't get that.
Yeah,
We only get to
you name
yeah.
it.
We get to be
No, but no, even with some Hispanic because you look at
some
even
some.
here in
Yeah.
Texas, right? I mean, there's lots of cruises,
Sure,
and
that's
and
fair.
and and, and we read that they essentially you ask them to say they're white as Wonder Bread, right? And
No, no,
they
no.
portray
There's
themselves
some,
that way.
right? But the majority, I
Yeah.
would say, let's say, we either Mexican or
No, we're still, yeah,
we're Mexican,
exactly,
right? Let's be honest.
yeah.
It is what it is.
Everyone is Mexican.
Right, but
Everyone, all Latinos are
all of them are
Mexicans.
Mexican.
There is
But
no other
so
one.
we all get in like in this, but this is the kind of this
But
is that documentary
but
that sparks this conversation, which is why I enjoy this
yes,
documentary. Absolutely, right?
because they also talk
Yeah,
about with the Supreme Court their decisions as far as giving them essentially blanket
sure,
immunity,
right to do
right?
what they
And
want.
how that has not been able to have that conversation. Okay, when do we hold them responsible when
The government does
force
it,
is excessive?
right?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Aside from civil lawsuits,
Well,
there is
fair
no
enough. Yeah,
really,
yeah.
well, and a very limited case where they've been convicted because it's been so egregious and so public. They can't. There's no way around it, right? There's just no way, And I take Rodney King, right, where
Oh
it
yeah.
didn't go as you see that it was so egregious, and yet they still initially got away with it. So even when it's egregious, still, and
He
but
didn't
it's
have
just.
OJ money. Terry. No, if I wouldn't have mattered to be honest in this particular case,
Yeah.
situation.
Good Lord, dude,
But
come
no,
on.
it's a very insightful. I really enjoyed this one. Again, it sparks really good conversation. It makes you think about what the
Yes.
real issue. It's not just the police are bad. Let's not. That's
No,
unfair.
no,
It's
no, no,
unfair
no.
to
They're
paint
part of
that. But a lot of people, not this
all of
documentary,
them is
but a lot
bad.
of people will
But
paint that
there's
picture like, oh, they're
but
terrible.
there's systems in place where
Correct.
bad ones can get away with it. And we see
Sure.
videos all the time on Facebook where cops are being more militaristic
Well,
and
absolutely.
exhorting their ability to exert that power. And that was the point. It's about that. It's not like they
Correct.
can affect your life, but at that moment, they have all the
Yeah.
power, and you don't react, and they're perceived. You're perceived as a threat immediately,
Yeah, and it's actually a good
and you see.
interview with a kid. Well, was a kid who went through just the profiling and all that growing up, and how
Yeah,
and how it affected him, right?
the stop and frisk,
Just having frisk law and how that affected
laws
his
of the
psyche.
mid
Yeah,
2000s.
his
Yes.
mentality is interesting. A take he had, and I was like, oh, that I never thought about it. You don't think about those kind of things, and yeah, not he didn't get beat up. He wasn't thrown to the ground or abused, but
But it was continu- But
that
it was that
continuous
continuous.
attention or
You
negative
know,
way. Yeah.
yeah, that perceived power. No, it wasn't perceived. They had
No,
power
it wasn't
over you,
perceived.
and
Right. Yeah.
what
Yeah.
could you do?
Right. Nothing.
And you have like the rise of the Black Panther. People will pop back, and then they were perceived as
Enemies. Yeah.
insurrectionists and enemies of the state because they were exercising their legal rights. By the way.
No, yeah, no, of course, but they didn't care. But it is
Yeah,
what it is,
no,
right?
yeah,
And obviously, that's different times, and it's much more severe than it is now, obviously.
yes, yeah.
But I'll leave with this, and Anthony Mackie, of course, the new Captain America, he said it best. I saw an interview with him, a couple of years ago. He's like, he gets it. There's a profile, all that, but listen, despite all that, when you get stopped, pulled over by police, it can go one of two ways, right? Good or bad. And how it goes, it depends on you. You can be the yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, and it's gonna go a very clear way, or be combative and it's gonna go a bad way. And this point is yes sir, don't fight the system that way. Just yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, and move on. We know it's unfair, it's
But you
unjust,
know
right?
what?
And
It should
find
it
find a
shouldn't
way,
have
find
to be
other
that
ways
way.
to fight it.
It shouldn't have to be that way
No,
because you
no, but his
understand
point was
that you're going to be perceived already as okay, you're doing something wrong,
no,
and
but he touched
if you
on
get
that.
upset about
But
it,
his point was,
okay,
if you're gonna fight it, don't fight it at the very moment.
well,
That's his
okay,
point.
we'll fight it in the courts,
Fight
fight it
right.
in the courts, fight it
There's
through
other
social
means
change.
to change. If you're gonna fight it, and you're gonna lose every time.
But
You know what I'm saying?
even then,
And
we've seen some
escalate
cases.
things worse than they need to, because no matter what,
That
you're
we,
gonna get profiled. Now you can be profiled in a nice
you're
way
going to
or
be
a bad way.
perceived as a threat. You're
Correct.
going to, and that's an issue. That's an issue
Hmm.
with whatever color police officer you come across. You're perceived as a threat
Always.
because you just because of history and in films and stuff that said bad, 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 bad,
Of
bad,
course.
and that is subconsciously embedded in their
On
psyche.
everybody.
And as a police officer, and when you're working in a poor minority neighborhood, it just reaffirms
Yeah. Listen,
those racist beliefs that you are a threat. You're up to no good.
Of course. I mean, look, it's not fair, but it's hard not if you're an officer. It's dangerous. You're going to these bad neighborhoods, and I said I'll talk to a couple black friends who got money. And I was like, we're talking about where they live, and it's so great. And there's a city called Overtown here in Miami, which is not a very desirable place to live, right?
It's poor. It's
Right, right.
always
So
been
I
poor. It was
asked,
poor when we were there.
sure,
It's
it's a
it's
poor
still
thing now,
poor.
right? It is what it
Hey,
is. Like it's an inner city.
as you said, economics.
Right? And I asked this black, well, why'd you move away? Once you live there, well, it's like, hell no, it's too dangerous, and that's my point, right? And then when the police go in there, it's hard for them not to say I'm in danger when their own people will say the same thing and leave when they can. So this is a natural, unbiased. I'm not saying it's good, but it's a biased reaction when you go in there. I might get shot here, right? I would think that I would never go in these neighborhoods. Doesn't make me racist. Just listen, it's a dangerous place to be in, and yeah, as an officer, you're already a target, right? You're gonna go in there already with that mentality. Good or fair or not fair, right or wrong, it's just a fact,
No,
right?
I mean fair and wrong because we're both
But
people get
we're
shot.
making those
And
assumptions, right? But we
it's
all
not
make the
because they're
assumptions.
the
Yeah,
better. They get shot on stock. They get shot in good neighborhoods. They get shot
of course.
where they don't least
Not
expect it.
agree, but not to the degree. I mean, the media pushes a certain angle. Let's be clear.
Yes, yes.
They overdo it and that causes. That's not a good way of
If
doing
it
it as well.
bleeds, it leads.
Right,
If it bleeds, it
yeah, and
leads.
sometimes a band-aid is fine. The media will just require surgeries. Like, let's calm down. It's just a paper cut. They make it worse, right? For every black person that gets killed, there's about 500 that don't. Nothing ever happens to them. But the news won't say, "Hey, today Officer Pusango, we did everything right." Next story, that never happens. We focus on the one story out of thousands.
But those stories shouldn't happen
Well, I know,
because
but nothing is
innocent.
perfect. That's the point.
Sometimes
Nothing is
it's.
perfect. And you're right. But I'm saying is that it's not.
I mean,
They just perpetuate
like
this idea
one
that it's just worse than it. I don't think it's as
I
bad as people
saw.
think it is. It's bad, but not nowhere near what it is. But that's the way it's always been. And but that's the focus instead of okay, let's change it from the back end, right? Let's fix the
Yeah.
economics, and that's what the focus should be. Now I get that's happening, bad, but talking about won't change it. Talking about that particular incident, let's talk about what the real problem is, right? It's not the cops, it's the system, right?
The
It's
system in place.
and not the
Yeah.
cops that suck. When anybody gets in trouble, who you calling? The people you hate, the cops. We all gonna do it. And the cops are the worst. And oh, shit, I'm in trouble. 911. Yeah, if they're so bad, why are you calling?
Well, no, man.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
They made a point in this where they talked about
Yeah.
how the police, but they didn't want to defund. They didn't want to get rid of police because it's still unnecessary.
Of
But there
course.
has to be a
But the
system,
people wanted to
a
fund them.
change,
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I
a
don't think.
psyche
Yeah,
change,
the,
and how they're held
exactly. The
accountable,
funding is not
and
the answer.
how.
The funding is not the answer. That's
No, no, no.
yeah. A lot of people believe that.
Well,
A lot of people do
definitely
believe that.
demilitarization of it. Yes,
Correct.
that I do
Yes,
support that
there's other
because
ways of doing it.
it.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, yes. You can't treat your citizens as if you're in a combat zone, as if you're in an occupation.
Right. Exactly. Despite the
Right.
inherent dangers that you're in, I get the danger you're
Yes.
in. Act accordingly. But listen, but
Yeah.
it's hard to put the full blame because we all have that mentality. And now he's got a gun. And he's a target. I get it. Right. I'm not saying it's right, but I get it to some degree.
And especially, I live in a state, and you live in a state where open carry is allowed.
Right, so it's even worse, right? God forbid you pull
I
someone
mean, I
over,
mean,
and we've seen
I
cops get
mean,
shot all the time too. No one says anything,
I
but
mean,
we see it,
look
right?
at the case. The case of the guy just got pardoned,
Yeah,
right? And he proceeded there because the guy was carrying a gun. Great, that's his legal right.
of
And
course.
just say you allow people to carry rifles and stuff and shotgun, whatever you can carry whatever you
Open
want.
carry.
Yeah, open
That's how
carry,
it
no
works.
license, and so and the guy is in the car. And I'll say further, the governor just pardoned him because he killed a BLM protester.
Mhm.
Guy was in the car, drove through a crowd, right? He's in a vehicle, he's in a weapon,
No,
right?
fair.
And we've seen that weapon
Sure.
used at another protest. The guy had an M16 legally, right? Goes up to his window to ask him to roll down. We didn't point his gun at the window, to ask him to roll down. And the guy he shoots him because he perceived as he treated his defense was stand your ground.
Yeah,
That's all you got to say.
of course.
And these were both military guys. I think one was an Air Force airman. The
Yeah,
other guy
yeah.
was Marine, Army. I can't remember.
He's
So
military.
these are guys trained with weapons. So whatever.
No, no,
Just,
no. It's a
yeah,
great
yeah,
conversation to have. I know we're cutting off on the tangent, but that again,
yeah. Sorry.
no,
Yeah.
no. Listen, it's good conversation. I like it because again, that's what this kind of documentary really sparks that
Mhm.
conversation. So I think it's one that you guys really have to watch, and then think for yourselves, right? Not just take it for what it's worth, right? And
Yeah.
learn,
Well, I
investigate.
mean,
Yeah,
you mentioned some of the other ones we've
yeah,
seen from very good ones we've seen, and that's because out of the HBO we've talked over
yeah,
the last couple of
yeah.
years that really sparked great
Yeah.
conversation, open your eyes, give you honest history, and look and then see what you can do to influence change in a
The
positive
positive,
fashion
right, exactly. Yeah,
overall.
fight where the fight needs to be fought at the end of the day, and then I think that's like what Mackey's saying. Just don't fight it there. You're never gonna win.
Yeah.
Right now, you from out to the top,
No, no,
you're gonna get popped.
you're not in a position to win.
Right, exactly. So don't do it. You know what I'm
Don't
saying?
give, yeah,
Right or
yes, yes.
wrong, and it's wrong, but doesn't you escalating it will not change. It's gonna make it worse. At the end of that, when that was his point, right? Yeah, fight
Mm.
someone. There's other ways to fight, no doubt about it. But that being said, no winner along that one. Real quick, next couple of weeks we got a number of shows coming out. Next week's kind of light. On the 23rd, we got Tires, a new comedy on Netflix.
Yes.
Um,
Hmm.
it's just kind of like it's not a reality comedy, right?
No, no,
Okay,
no,
okay, it's
no.
a
This is a
legit. Okay,
comedy set at a tire shop, but it's just straight sitcom, I guess.
yeah, okay. The guy running his tire shop, he's got his cousins working for him,
Hmm.
something like that. On the 23rd, the same day, we got Karuden. I'm maybe saying this wrong. A pretty good looking
An
in
anime?
anime. It looks
Yes.
great. It kind of reminded me of Blue Eye Samurai,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
fantastic.
That's
Yeah,
why I mentioned
really
it.
good. This one, yeah, I
Okay.
guess this guy's running from something and he gets coaxed into joining this kind of tournament for his life or whatever. Okay, it looks interesting. It looks very cool. And the 24th, we got Atlas, which looks terrible. This is a trailer for this. Jennifer Lopez, kind of sci-fi, futuristic. She's her against AI,
AI,
right? I
yes,
guess the guy from
yeah. So,
Shang-Chi. This looks questionable,
yes,
but
yeah.
we'll give it
We'll
a
see.
shot. Again, that's on the
Yeah.
24th, Memorial Weekend. The week after that, more stuff coming out. Right? Netflix, Dancing with the Devil. The 7M TikTok Girls is what the cult.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This one here, I guess, true story. It's a cute docu-film or series. I'm not sure
Yeah,
which it is.
docu
I'm not sure.
film, docu series.
One
Yeah,
of the other, I guess, like, these girls who,
true
yeah,
crime. Yeah.
TikTok dancers on TikTok, and they get recruited by, I guess, some sort of organization. They find out it's kind of very cult-like, and bad things happen to them. On Netflix at 30th, we got Eric. I'm sorry,
Benedict Cumberbatch,
Benedict
which
Cumberbatch.
is
Yeah,
a drama series. Yes.
yeah. I guess he's a man who's fighting for his son died, or whatever, and he
Hmm.
kind of loses his mind. He thinks it's some imaginary character was responsible for it. I guess I got the gist of that. I may be wrong. Interesting. Peacock. I totally forgot about this show. The first season, second season coming out. We Are Lady Parts.
Ah, yeah,
It's an
good
enjoyable show.
surprise.
Yeah, kind of coming of age of this Indian girl who joins his band, all minorities, women and
Indian or Pakistani? I can't
Pakistani.
remember which one.
One,
I think it was
my
Pakistani.
apologies.
Yes.
One, whatever, Middle Eastern, I guess. But yeah, she's
Hey,
funny show.
we're not all Mexican, dude.
Well,
Come
not
on.
Mexican.
Come
I
on,
get it.
dude.
You're right.
Come on.
Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. But it's a funny show. I actually enjoy the show on Peacock season 2 coming out. Netflix, we got Geek Girl, young girl who doesn't consider herself attractive and now is being recruited by model agencies or something, whatever the case is. Not sure if there's like a comedy or a drama. Maybe a dramedy.
Drama,
Dramedy. Okay.
not comedy.
And
Yes.
stick with Netflix. We got Raising Voices, young girl who gets sexually assaulted, makes a report, and the investigation kind of leads to a lot of damaged relationships between her friends and
I
family.
believe this is a Spanish
It's a
show,
Spanish
if
show,
I'm
correct?
mistaken.
Most
Okay.
interesting. And then last,
Mhm.
but certainly not least, is The Outlaws, season 3. Very funny show. Christopher Walken's the main headliner in this one. But you just
Stephen
yeah, it's
Marchand,
people
a
from
great
different walks of
comedian.
life
Yeah,
who get kind of both together, do community service after committing some low level crimes, and now
and
they're
they get involved in a heist.
yeah, and they
We love
start
a good
yeah they involve
heist.
themselves in high level crime after
Yeah.
that. So it's a pretty cool show, very funny show again on Amazon Prime. So that's in a couple weeks. That means
Yeah,
oh
I'm gonna say I still remember the one of the best lines in season one. When they first meet, right? And he says he's got like a 12-inch cock or something.
oh that's
Uh,
right. What's the
but it
poor
was
guy?
he doesn't even have to brag about it.
That
It's
that
just
that show's got some funny moments. It really does. It's a really funny show. It's a BBC directly, but it goes on Netflix, and it's like 6 episodes.
yeah,
It's very short. But if you guys want
yes.
something funny, give it a shot. Again, it's on Amazon the first couple of seasons. Season 3 dropping the 29th. That being said, that's all we got for today's show. Chewy, as always, a pleasure. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, the like button, the usual. Comment below if you're crazy to think we think some shows are good and they're not, or vice versa. Chewy's opinion is a little wacky sometimes. I get it. That being said, we'll see you guys
Don't
next
know.
week.